The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, and I'll put my webcam on. Hello, so thank you very much for coming out and coming to the webinar. I'm Nick Shalligan. I'm the Regional Director for Global Links Learning Abroad here in Canada. And today we have our webinar with University of Queensland and the Master of Speech Pathology program. So just a few things to start off with. If you have any questions, you can do a couple things. If you want to type them into the chat area, you're more than welcome to do that, and I can kind of compile them, and at the end of the presentation, we can go through the questions with Kathleen Page from the University of Queensland. And you can use the raise your hand button as well, and I can take a look at see whose hands are raised, and you can type your question through there or in the questions box. So that's kind of how we'll go through this. Thank you very much for coming in, and I think some more people might come in as we go. But to start off, I will just tell you a little bit about Global Links Learning Abroad. Basically, what Global Links Learning Abroad is set up to do is to make the application process simple for you. And we do this by making sure that you have easy access to the applications, the University of Queensland application specifically. And then once you fill out the application and scan it and send it in to us, we're in touch with you to make sure you have any information that you need as far as other documents that need to be submitted as well. And we get in contact with you about that. Once we have all the required documents, we submit the application to the university on your behalf. We do this because we're partnered with the institutions and we have a good relationship with the international offices. And we also save you the headache of having to work out what time is it in Australia. Right now, currently, it is about 5 after 9 p.m. or a.m. on Thursday in Australia. So there is a bit of a time difference to take into consideration, but we kind of have that covered for you. And then the final main kind of base service that we give and provide for you is that once there's an offer given and you've accepted the offer, we will work with you to make sure that the visa and travel logistics are together and that you get to Australia when you need to and that you don't have to stress out over those factors. So those are the main kind of base and the key things that Global Links will do to you. But there's more that Global Links will do for you, and it's kind of our discovery difference. So basically, the Global Links discovery difference really sets us apart from other organizations. We have in-country staff members. They're there to support you. They're available 24/7. The support they give is on top of any support that the International Office of University of Queensland would be giving you. And they also really help to set up our discovery model and make sure that you get the most out of your international experience. The Global Links discovery model is great. So if you're going to be applying to the University of Queensland, you'll be going there first and foremost for your academics and to get a master's in speech pathology. But with 20 plus years of experience, Global Links has realized, and all of our staff members can attest to this, that there's more to an international education experience than just the academics. So our in-country staff member will be there to set up events and gatherings so that you can highlight your personal, cultural, social, and career discovery. And we start this off with anyone who applies to us and gets accepted with our free Bridging Cultures orientation program. Basically, it's a multi-day orientation program that allows you to get accustomed to what it's like living in Australia. We do it in the north so that we can include excursions to the Great Barrier Reef and also some other cultural aspects in that area before you head off to study at Queensland. And then the other great thing about the orientation program is that you get to meet other international students who have applied through Global Links, so you start to set up that social network. And you also learn what it's like living, working, and studying in Australia, which is great for a great way to start your experience and your education abroad. So today you've all signed up to hear from Kathleen Page from the University of Queensland, who's now going to talk to you about the Masters of Speech Pathology program.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Welcome everyone to the webinar presentation for the Master of Speech Pathology Studies. This program is a 2.5-year full-time program over 5 semesters. It is the first time we've presented it in this format. It used to be a 2-year program over 6 semesters, 2 of them being summer, but we have decided to trial it and see how it spans over to give people a little bit more time. So this year the program will start on the 28th of July 2014. Applications close on the 28th of February. We then do, we compile all the applications, we process them, we then rank them. Obviously we have 10 international places, so normally we do receive probably between 30 and 50 applications, so then we have a ranking process. It's based on GPA, so your GPA from what institution you come from will be converted to our GPA, and then offers are made that way. The program is structured with theory, practical and clinical work, coursework. Now the clinical coursework is held in the last semester of the program. I'm not 100% sure with the graduate entry, but certainly for the 4-year program it's held over the last semester of 3rd year and the first semester of 4th year. The GEMS will be held over in a similar fashion. The selection criteria. You need to hold a bachelor's degree in a variety of relevant fields such as health, education, social, biological or physical sciences. Now if you had a degree that didn't cover those relevant areas, you'd need to complete at least 8 units, which is 4 courses, 4 full-time courses. So 2 units equals 1 standard full-time semester course. So you'd need to complete the relevant, you'd need to complete 8 units of relevant study. Now you'd need to have obtained a grade point average of at least 4. Now again, that's the minimum GPA. Once you've made your application, you've met the prerequisite requirements, then you'd be ranked, and obviously it would go from the highest GPA downwards, and we just make the offers until we've met our quota. The degree needs to be completed within the last 10 years of application. So for this year, anything from 2004 onwards is classed as being within that 10-year framework. If your degree was completed before, like from 2003 backwards, you'd need to complete 8 units of relevant study to bring that degree into recency. And more often than not, you would also be you'd need to do the prerequisite requirements. So that's how a lot of students get around that. Degree is too old, they then do the statistics, linguistics, psychology and physiology. That gives them 8 units plus it meets the prerequisite requirement and the recency requirement. So as I've just mentioned, the prerequisites are statistics, which is a compulsory course. Then you can have you have one of 3 or more. So if you had statistics and linguistics, that would be a minimum requirement, or statistics psychology, or statistics and human physiology. However, the more prerequisites you have, like if you had linguistics and psychology, you would then be required, or you would be directed to do the human physiology within the program. Students who come in with statistics, linguistics, psychology and human physiology will get credit towards two of those 3 classes, or courses I should say. Okay, for English as your second language, you'd need to meet the English language requirement, which is a minimum GPA of 7 overall, 8 in spoken and 7 in the other bands. Graduate outcomes. There is a strong demand worldwide for speech pathologists, and most of our graduates are employed within the first 3 to 6 months of graduation. In fact, what we have found in the past that most of our graduates who have gone out on clinical placement have been offered positions at that time. So once they graduate, they have one of their placements have already offered them a position. We also have postgraduate opportunities. We have the Masters in Philosophy and a PhD. What does a speech pathologist do? Well, they assist people with swallowing difficulties, assist people who have a disorder of communication and a disorder of speech, voice, language and or fluency. Most of our clients fall within children who fail to develop normal communication, people who acquire communication problems as a result of a disease, i.e. following a stroke, removal of larynx due to cancer and other such problems. People with hearing loss, intellectual disability, stuttering, malfunction of the speech or respiratory organs like a cleft palate or emotional disturbances. The workplaces are educational settings, hospitals. We have a lot of graduate positions in the hospitals, community health centres, rehabilitation centres, centres for the hearing impaired, private practice, government centres, and obviously if you went down the research stream, university and research institutions. So that's pretty much it. If you've got any queries, we have our inquiries line that that is used on a regular basis, or our website. Over to you, Nicholas.
All right. Well, I'll come back, and maybe I don't see any questions up yet. So if anyone has any questions that they're thinking of. So the first question that we have here is, and we might be able to answer this right now, but what is the GPA conversion, for example, what is a 3.0 GPA in the USA compared to Australian GPA standards?
Very good question. I don't know. I'd have to do a GPA calculation.
Okay.
Okay, if that was on a 1 to 4 scale, it could very well come out around the 5-ish area. Again, we'd have to take into consideration. We have some other, let me have a look. We have some other rules that do impact on the final GPA, like for instance, we do have a 5-year rule whereby results obtained more than 5 years before application will not be used in the calculation of the GPA if the applicant has subsequently completed 1 full-time year or the part-time equivalent of relevant tertiary study at the time of application, which means that, for instance, if somebody didn't have a very good first year and then they did well after that, we would, and their degree, okay, let me have a look. Let's give this for instance. So they completed their degree in 2012. We would then just count back 5 years from there and just take the GPA within that time frame, providing that they have completed at least 16 units of relevant study. And that may impact on that may increase your GPA. So we also use that. So when somebody says, what's a 3, it may be overall the degree, but we would also take into consideration the 5-year rule and also any credit that you may have obtained from a previous degree towards the current degree. Does that make sense?
Good stuff. Yeah, and I think a big thing as well right now, and Global Links will send out either myself or most likely Christian from Global Links will send out a follow-up to this email. So a question like that, we will be able to kind of dig down and find the exact conversion so that we can get that to you.
Absolutely, yes, I can do that. That's a general thing, but there are other factors which I will provide this document to Nicholas or Christian, or both of you, so that students can have access to this as well. That gives them a good idea of what our entry requirements are and how we do a basic calculation for a GPA.
Wonderful. All right. Well, moving from the GPA question, we have another question now. Kathleen asking, do you take into consideration an individual's work in the field or overall experience in the field?
Unfortunately, no. It is GPA driven, so anything that they have done previously, we believe that will hold them in very good stead coming into the program should they be accepted, but it is everything is GPA driven. And meeting the requirements.
Yeah, so would that include volunteer hours and the work experience then?
That's correct. We don't take that into consideration. No.
Okay, yeah, and that's a big thing for everyone who is here. I think it should be noted in North America there is a lot of emphasis on those extracurriculars as part of the entrance process to many programs, both in the United States and in Canada. And in Australia, a main driver for most programs is looking at your academic performance in the GPA and where that's at.
Right. I mean, we always strongly recommend that people go and do work experience so that they understand what the degree or what a speech pathologist does, but that would be for their own personal development rather than for us to use it in the overall decision making.
Wonderful. Another question that we have is just in general, what would you say are the key highlights of the program at University of Queensland? Not that you have to make comparisons to other schools, but what does the speech pathology really take pride in as far as how they deliver the education and the curriculum?
Wow. Okay, I'm going to be I'm biased. So how do we have world-class lecturers and academics. I mean, they are absolutely brilliant. They have put a lot of work into the program, and a lot of it, because of the research attached to it, a lot of it is research-based. So, you know, when they do research, it is then incorporated in the learning. So the students are always learning new things and new ways to approach this degree. So I always believe they've got up to the minute academic teaching. I'm not the last person to ask because I think we just have such fabulous staff, and a testament of just the demand of people who want to come into the program.
Excellent. And we have more questions coming in. So one of the questions is any part of the program offered through distance learning, i.e. the prerequisite courses?
So when you say distant learning,
I would guess that that's kind of online. Are there any online offerings that can be done, I guess, from the U.S. or not exactly on campus?
No, it is an internal program, so you have to be on campus to complete the program. So there is no external components to this degree. It's an accelerated degree, so that it enables people to to obtain a degree quicker, so that they can become a registrable speech pathologist.
Okay. And then moving on, we have a question. Approximately when would you find out about admission if you have applied to the program? What is the kind of length of time that it takes for a decision to be made on an applicant once they've put their application in?
Okay. Now, in the past, it was about appreciating that the applications closed on a specific date. Like last year, it was the 30th of September. Now, we then have to assess all the applications, then rank them, make sure that everybody's met the requirements, etc., etc. So that usually does take about a week or a week and a bit allowing for it to filter through the international system. Once we have that, we rank them, then offers. I do try to make offers within the next 10 days from there, so it can take up to 3 weeks depending on the number of applications we receive and providing everybody's submitted the correct information. So as I said, last year, that closes on the 30th of September. I used to try and get the applications out during oh, actually no, sorry, I digress. I'm talking domestic. International, yes, sorry, international closed on the 31st of May, and it took about, it took about approximately 3 weeks for us to compile, get the applications ready and sent back to international for an offer to be made. I do apologise for that.
Not a problem at all.
I have to think 2 modes.
Definitely. Good stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, certainly for this year, because this is the first year that it's closing so early, the 28th of February,
Okay.
my intention would be to have offers out, all things going well, during the week of the 17th of March.
Okay, and that's for international students.
That's that's for international students.
So
well, domestics as well.
Yeah, so that's wonderful to know. So that application deadline is the end of February, and like we said from our side, and the screen's up right now about applying, just making that application process much simpler for you and making sure it gets into the international office at University of Queensland for consideration. So that's great. Thank you for the question. And moving on, talking about the international side, how many international students are accepted each year into the institution?
Okay, our quota is 10
Okay.
for international. We have in the past made a couple of extra applications because of the demand, but we do have to keep a cap on it because we have it's 32 is the number of places we have, and we have to give obviously a percentage to our domestic. So it is generally 30 international and 20 domestic.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Could you possibly just talk and go over a little bit of what it's like living in Australia, and for any students who are thinking about how they would support themselves, kind of what are some of the options? I know one option is with the student visa in Australia right now, it does come attached with a work visa that allows you to work 40 hours a week, 40 hours over 2-week spans, so 20 hours a week, and then unlimited when you're not in session. So any holidays or breaks in the academic calendar, you can work unlimited. Does University of Queensland provide any financial support, and what is it like kind of living there?
Okay, I'll break that down. First, what is it like living here? Awesome. The weather is brilliant. And just the facilities that we have here. The cafe nightlife is fabulous. We've got our river. We have a lot of activities that are based around the river, and because the University of Queensland is on the top end of that, we have our city cat that you jump on from UQ and whiz into town, and it'll take you out as far as Hamilton. That in itself is just a beautiful place to live. In regards to work, well, as Nicholas has said, you're allowed 40 hours a fortnight. Now, because this is a full-time program, you are required to be at university 5 days a week, 8 to 6. Now, that doesn't happen every day, but you have to be able to be in the position. So working during that time frame may not be an ideal situation, and I guess we wouldn't encourage people to do that because, you know, if you weren't in class, you'd be at the library, you know, doing study, etc., etc. But obviously you'd have you'd be able to do weekend work or some evening work depending on what you got. But living, yeah, I'm biased again. I'm from New Zealand, but I've lived here for 19 years and I wouldn't live anywhere else in the world. So that's my biased opinion.
Good stuff. So I hope that kind of covered a little bit of that question. There's a couple more that have popped up here. And this one I can kind of touch on a little bit. Upon completion of the program, are you qualified to apply hold jobs outside of Australia? So from the Canadian standpoint on that, it is, we have a national body that kind of oversees everything across the entire country, and then provincial bodies as far as speech and language pathology goes. So basically in Canada, the main area, main resource of information would be with the Canadian Association of Speech Language Pathologists and Audiologists. And we can get that website out to anyone who's interested in it. It would be the same kind of process in the United States of looking at who the regulating bodies are, and then what the steps are and processes for transferring the degree from Australia to the United States or Canada. And Kathleen, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Actually, yes, you're right. There is a component. I understand that Canadian students need to have X amount of numbers of audiology. Now, we cover some time towards audiology, but not the full quota. So we, in the offer letter, we actually do put a paragraph that specifically directs you or guides you to perhaps your body, whichever state you're in, to ensure that you have met that requirement. I mean, as I say, we do try to put some of the audiology hours in, but I'm not 100% sure that we can meet all of them. So that is something that they would need to investigate. Mm-hmm. Again, for registration, yes, once you've completed the degree here in Australia, you are eligible to become a speech pathologist in Australia. So there is no further requirement other than to step out the doors and start as a speech pathologist.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful stuff. And then, yeah, like I said, that transferring back to North America, it's the transfer process through the regulating bodies. We have another question here, just an inquiry about if someone has obtained a BA in speech language pathology, a bachelor's degree, are they eligible to apply to the master's program?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Again, it would be based on your relevant degree, which is certainly relevant, and meeting the prerequisite requirement. You wouldn't get any credit towards anything you've completed in that bachelor's degree, but I see no reason why you can't apply for the master's, no.
Great stuff. And then one more question that's come up. Does the tuition also include books and other study materials, or are those additional?
They're additional.
Okay. So
really the tuition fees are exactly that, tuition fees. You'd be required to buy the books, have a current first aid certificate. I think there is a uniform, there is a shirt that the students have for their clinical placements, so any of that would be, you would have to cover yourself. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And those are some of the areas, if you do have more questions or want to kind of learn more about what the cost of living in Australia are like, Global Links, we have no problem answering those questions and kind of consulting you on those as you get your application in as well. Like I always say, it's a great first step to get that application in, and then we will provide you with lots of kind of information and a kind of checklist so that you know what the time frame is and the steps that are involved and when you should be expecting to do certain things and finding out about information. Be it the visa is a great example. You cannot apply for the visa until you have an offer and accept the offer. So thinking about the visa right now, isn't really the right time to be thinking about it, because the main thing is getting that application in prior to the end of February on that side. So now we got some more questions, which is great. So housing and accommodation situations for international students. Do you have on-campus places for them? Does the International Office, are you aware, help students with that? And I know Global Links kind of works with that in-country orientation to provide information about those. But Kathleen, do you have any information from the University of Queensland side?
Yes, they do. We have international accommodation. Well, there is a housing complex or block of units that are international. But if you go onto the UQ website, which is, I don't even know it, uq.edu.au, if you go onto their homepage, one of the links at the top is international. If you go and if you click on that, that will give you everything. That will give you how to apply through international, but it'll also, you know, show you, direct you to how to assist for accommodation and everything like that. So that is, I believe, the best site to go to assist you with any questions you have.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And yeah, and just on that as well, feel free to email myself or Christian once you get our contact on the follow-up to this webinar. So that's the housing. And a question about kind of, I guess, maybe fast-tracking a little bit, but can any of the courses be done during the summers or the off times to shorten the length of the program?
No, well, it actually used to be 6 semesters, and it used to start in second semester. Then you'd have a summer semester. No, I stand corrected. It'll start in a summer semester, then it'll be first, second, then another summer, and then first and second. So that covered the 2 years, 6 semesters. We found that people were kind of, the summer semester was a bit full on, so which is why we've opted for the 2.5 year full-time program. So it will start in second semester, you'll have the summer period off, you'll have first and second semester, summer period off, and then first and second semesters.
Wonderful.
So no, there's no, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a testament to, I would say, University of Queensland making a conscious decision about the quality of curriculum and the quality of instruction, and making sure that everyone who goes through the program is very prepared for the workforce.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, I haven't seen any other questions pop up right now. So what I'll do, I have to make one note. I apologize to everyone who is listening in the United States. Earlier when I was speaking in the slide, I had up there that the Bridging Cultures program is free. It is in the Canadian context. So for Canadian students, the Bridging Culture program is included for free. In the United States, if you want to take part, which is a great learning opportunity and getting to kind of start to develop those discovery areas that I mentioned before, the personal, cultural, social, and careers discovery, the Bridging Culture program costs an additional $800. It's a great opportunity to get to the north of the country. Even though Queensland isn't that far away from Cairns, you might find that once you get in full on to your studies, you won't have the opportunity to do some of the travel that you are hoping to probably do when you're in Australia. So it's a great way to get to the Great Barrier Reef. And like I said, it's multi-day. It runs, depending on the session, but anywhere from 4 to 6 days. So it is great value for that $800. And then from our side, like we said, the applications for the program will be closing February 28th. So to apply, we've got pretty much 3 easy steps for you to follow through on. If you go to degreesoverseas.ca/applications, you will come to a page where you can click on the country of your choice, which will be Australia. And then you can just scroll down to University of Queensland, and there'll be a tab for you to click on. That will bring up a PDF version of University of Queensland's application. And then we just ask you to download it, print it, fill it out, and then once you've done that, scan it and send it in to us. It can be to the email on our follow-up or to canada@degreesoverseas.ca. And then anything else that's required to come with it that we need to submit on your behalf, such as your passport and your transcripts, we'll get in touch with you so that you know what it is that we need and where you can send them to. So at this point, I guess I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Please feel free to get in touch with us. And you can send those emails to canada@degreesoverseas.ca. They do go in, and that will work for both American and Canadian students. So once again, I apologize for having my very focused mindset up here in Canada on kind of what I do up here. But those are there. I've just got a couple questions more coming in, which is totally fine because we have some time for it. Just a couple more quick questions. The first one is, of people who get into the program, Kathleen, what is the percentage of students who complete the program?
Oh, okay, I'm just on the spot here. What is the percentage? That's a very good question. Okay, the attrition, I'd have to say the attrition would be probably, on average, 2 people will withdraw from the program before the completion. Probably,
and that's a combination of international and domestic students?
Yes, in fact, with the international students, it is very rare that they would withdraw. I think a few years ago we had one very homesick student who did come and did withdraw from the program. But I have to say the international students, when they come over, they've made the decision that they're going to stay, and they do. So yeah, it's very rare that they would drop out, and it would be normally homesickness that creates that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last question that I'll field for today, so thank you everyone for the questions. If there's any letters of recommendation or a resume that can be submitted as well. And I know that we talked a little bit about, as far as the assessment goes, that's not the case, but on the application, are there any sections that you're aware of that require those?
Again, no. Our requirements are all your official transcripts that show your grades, also the grading scale so that we can do the conversion, the prerequisites, so the statistics, the linguistics, the psychology and physiology, the detailed course outlines of each of those courses, so you need to provide that information so that we know that it is compatible or comparable to what we're looking for, and GPA driven. So if you do attach a CV or any testaments, that's lovely, but it isn't taken into consideration in the final decision.
Well, great, Kathleen. Thank you very much for presenting all the way from Queensland. And I know
Queensland.
I think we've spanned quite a few time zones for this presentation today. So thank you everyone who's come in to listen in and find out more. And I'm looking forward to kind of being in touch with you if you have any questions, and if you need any help with that application. I mean, like I said, just get on to degreesoverseas.ca/applications, and it's very easy to get access to it and then get your application into us, and we can submit it on your behalf. So thank you so much for listening in today.